General Grievous killed dozens of Jedi during the Clone Wars. Throughout those battles, powerful masters and skilled duelists fell to the cyborg's blades, their lightsabers added to his growing collection. Yet one Jedi's weapon never joined that collection. Obi-Wan Kenobi survived every encounter, not through superior power or luck, because of something built into Grievous from the beginning. When Count Dooku trained the cyborg to kill Jedi, he programmed him around one core assumption. Obi-Wan broke that assumption in 8 specific ways, making him the one opponent Grievous could never be designed to beat. The first reason is foundational. Grievous was built specifically to kill aggressive, attack-first Jedi. In Legends continuity, specifically James Luceno's novel Labyrinth of Evil, the details of Grievous's transformation reveal the scope of his engineering. The banking clan gave him an indestructible body like a Krath war droid. He got 4 mechanical arms, crystal computer circuits, and the ability to tower over most beings. However, the physical changes were only part of making this weapon. The novel shows that the Geonosians had developed ways of changing someone's mind without them ever knowing. Grievous believed he had always been the cold-blooded killer he became. In truth, his cruelty came from intentional programming. The text states specifically that Geonosians arranged for Grievous to be nothing but anger and rage. His original honor and sense of right and wrong were erased completely, replaced by nothing but cold revenge. Dooku found the general easy to train for one specific reason. There was no need to push him toward anger and rage, as the Count had been forced to do with his other students. The training itself was comprehensive. Grievous learned all 7 classical lightsaber forms, studying under a master who knew exactly how Jedi fought because he had once fought beside them. The novel notes that in just weeks, Grievous surpassed any of Tyrannus's previous students. There were moments during combat sessions when even Dooku struggled to match the cyborg. Grievous was designed to kill one type of Jedi with near certainty. Luceno writes that few, if any, Jedi would be able to defeat him. When Count Dooku evaluated Grievous after the general killed the young Jedi, Nadar Veb, the Sith Lord's assessment was telling. Victory over clones and young Jedi was expected, but defeating a Jedi Master was truly worth recognizing. This established the hierarchy that Grievous was built to kill aggressive young Jedi almost every time. The Clone Wars episode Lair of Grievous demonstrates this design in action. When Kit Fisto advises patience after their troops are killed, Nadar Veb responds with wartime thinking. He declares that Grievous will pay for this, that in this war, strength wins, and that the rules have changed. Kit Fisto warns that perhaps Nadar is the one who has changed. When Grievous appears, Nadar charges directly and dies within moments. Meanwhile, Kit Fisto survives by refusing prolonged combat, prioritizing escape over victory. When Grievous threatens to come for him next, Kit simply responds that he will be gone by the time the cyborg arrives. Yoda's assessment afterward reveals the lesson. Nadar tried to answer Grievous's power with his own, exactly the approach Grievous was designed to exploit. But Grievous had a deadly limitation built into his programming. Labyrinth of Evil explains that programming in the 7 classic forms made them deadly opponents, but not unbeatable. While deadly with the forms, they had no understanding of skill beyond them and could be confused by unpredictability. The novel gives a clear comparison. A professional fighter could be beaten by a cantina brawler who knew nothing about form, but everything about ending a fight quickly. Being locked into forms opens someone to defeat by the unexpected. Count Dooku recognizes this while watching Grievous train. As the cyborg executed his program sequences, Ataru attacks answered by Shi-Cho, Soresu countered with Juyo, Dooku saw the flaw clearly. He could not watch another moment. Grievous was all machine, with no true understanding of combat's deeper principles. The second reason focuses on Grievous's psychological strategy. The cyborg relied on fear before physical victory. The Clone Wars episode Lair of Grievous shows his lair on the 3rd moon of Vasek functioning as a psychological weapon. When Kit Fisto and his team infiltrate the fortress, they discover walls covered with lightsaber trophies from murdered Jedi. The lair serves as a shrine to the cyborg's victories, creating fear before combat even begins. Grievous uses this collection strategically, telling opponents directly that their lightsabers will make a fine addition. The statement appears in multiple encounters, designed to provoke either fear or anger, both of which lead to the aggressive response Grievous requires. Grievous understood Jedi psychology better than most Jedi understood themselves. The Clone Wars episode Grievous Intrigue demonstrates this at its most advanced. After capturing 8th Koth, the cyborg sends a message to the Jedi Council, making his strategy explicit. He does not care about their politics or the Republic. He only lives to see them die. Death will not come easily for Master Koth because Grievous knows prolonged suffering is more painful for the other Jedi watching. When the rescue team arrives, Grievous tells his forces that the Jedi are predictable. Their compassion drove them to rescue Koth exactly as he anticipated. Fear creates hesitation. Hesitation creates predictable defensive reactions, and those reactions feed directly into his programmed combat responses. This leads directly to the third reason. Obi-Wan Kenobi showed consistent psychological immunity to these tactics. Multiple Clone Wars episodes proves this pattern. In Grievous Intrigue, when Grievous tells Kenobi that his lightsabers will make a fine addition to his collection, Obi-Wan shows no fear response. Instead, he maintains a conversational tone and turns the intimidation back on the general. He points out that all the talk gets the cyborg nothing but a futile quest for power, a damaged body, and servitude to Dooku. When Grievous insists defensively that he leads the most powerful droid army the galaxy has ever seen, Obi-Wan calmly observes that it is an army with no loyalty, no spirit, just programming. The general's psychological warfare requires opponents to react emotionally to threats, but Obi-Wan treats him with philosophical curiosity rather than fear. Obi-Wan's emotional control was tested under far worse circumstances than facing Grievous. The Clone Wars episode The Lawless demonstrates this when Darth Maul captures Kenobi and kills Duchess Satine before his eyes. Maul makes his strategy explicit, telling Obi-Wan to let his anger deepen his hatred, that his emotions betray him. The goal is pushing Kenobi toward the dark side through calculated cruelty. Yet, even imprisoned and watching someone he loved pass away, Obi-Wan maintains complete control. He tells Maul that killing him will never destroy him, that only the weak embrace the dark side. When Bo-Katan later frees him, he escapes rather than seeking revenge. If Maul's calculated cruelty could not break Obi-Wan's emotional control, Grievous's intimidation displays had no chance. Building on this psychological foundation, the fourth reason explains Obi-Wan's combat philosophy. He did not fight to win, but to endure and neutralize threats. The Revenge of the Sith novelization by Matthew Stover makes this approach clear. During the opening space battle over Coruscant, Anakin wants to attempt a dangerous maneuver through a narrow gap between enemy ships. Obi-Wan calls it too dangerous and states what he considers the first Jedi rule: survive. Anakin ignores this advice, but the exchange reveals their fundamental difference. Skywalker prioritizes victory and decisive action, while Kenobi prioritizes survival and sustainable outcomes. This philosophy appears consistently in how Obi-Wan handles Grievous throughout the Clone Wars series. In Grievous Intrigue, when the cyborg eventually escapes, Obi-Wan shows no frustration at failing to defeat him personally. Anakin reassures Master Koth that at least they all live to fight another day, echoing Obi-Wan's perspective. While Master Koth states he would have gladly given his life to bring Grievous to justice, Obi-Wan's focus remains on mission success. Everyone survived, Koth was rescued, and the objective was achieved. Whether Grievous was captured or killed remains secondary. The fifth reason reveals the training behind this approach. Obi-Wan's decade-long partnership with Anakin Skywalker prepared him specifically to handle Grievous's overwhelming defense. Both Canon and Legends sources establish this training effect. The novel Star Wars Brotherhood by Mike Chen describes Anakin as a powerful Jedi with a strong heart and an uncontrollable drive. Kenobi serves as his former Padawan's safety control, making sure Skywalker does not spiral out of control. This relationship required the Jedi Master to constantly manage overwhelming offensive power without being consumed by it. The Clone Wars episode Destroy Malevolence shows this dynamic in action. When Anakin attempts risky maneuvers, his former master responds that spinning is not flying. When the young Jedi proceeds to fly directly at the enemy ship under fire, Kenobi observes that subtlety has never been one of Skywalker's strong points. Anakin claims everything he knows came from Obi-Wan. The response reveals the truth of their relationship, if only that were true. Throughout the series, the Jedi Master maintains overall tactical awareness while his partner executes aggressive moves, successfully covering Skywalker's attacks while maintaining calm during high-speed chaos. The partnership requires Kenobi to defend while Anakin attacks, becoming their automatic coordination. Managing overwhelming offense became Obi-Wan's daily reality for over a decade. The Clone Wars episodes The Citadel, Counterattack, and Citadel Rescue demonstrate this preparation at a larger scale. Kenobi coordinates not just Skywalker's aggressive approach, but also Captain Tarkin's military decisiveness, managing multiple strong personalities with different tactical philosophies while maintaining unity during constant chaos. He cannot rely on overpowering enemies or matching their aggression. The Jedi Master must function effectively despite chaos rather than attempting to control it. Both Anakin and Grievous rely on overwhelming offense that forces opponents into purely reactive positions, expecting their targets to eventually break under sustained pressure. Both channel raw aggression, though Skywalker's comes from passion while the cyborg's comes from programming. The key difference is that the Jedi possesses the Force and can adapt his attacks through precognition, while the General has only technological speed enhanced through combat algorithms. Labyrinth of Evil shows Grievous recognizing Skywalker as an ideal target. Watching the Jedi pilot during battle, the cyborg observes a warrior unafraid to call on his rage, seeing fearless determination and absolute commitment in the flying. The novel states that the General would like to have Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber hanging from his belt. The cyborg's judgment is correct. The young Jedi's aggressive, emotion-driven style is exactly what Dooku's creation was designed to defeat. The Revenge of the Sith novelization describes Obi-Wan and Anakin as two parts of the same thing. When the cyborg general attacks them on the invisible hand, their coordination is flawless. 1 single second after Grievous began to form the intent to swing, Kenobi and Skywalker stood back-to-back in the center of the bridge. This coordination came from years of training together. The Jedi Master knew exactly how to defend against overwhelming attack because he practiced it every time he fought beside his former Padawan. The cyborg was simply a mechanical version of what Obi-Wan had been managing for over a decade. However, the sixth reason exposes a critical weakness. Grievous's technological advantages created rigid limitations that the Force could exploit. The Revenge of the Sith novelization documents these weaknesses in detail. The novel describes the cyborg's powered arms as able to move faster than the human eye could see. When he swung his arm, it and his fist, and the lightsaber within it, would literally vanish, erased from existence by sheer, mind-breaking speed. His combat computer programs would analyze even unusual styles, like Mace Windu's Vapad, and respond appropriately after a single exchange. The powered arms let each of the 4 attack 3 times in a single second. Connected by combat algorithms in the Biodroid's electronic network, each of the 12 strikes per second came from a different angle with different speed and strength. This created an unpredictably broken rhythm of cuts, chops, and stabs, with programming advanced enough to make the attacks genuinely random within tactical parameters. Yet, the novel reveals a critical limitation. No human being could move remotely as fast as the General, not even Kenobi, but the Jedi Master didn't have to. In the Force, part of him was Grievous's intent to kill. The surge from intent to action translated to his response without thought. While the intent to swing was still forming in the cyborg's mind, the part of the Force that was Obi-Wan could already sense the coming attack. The General's computer programs might move faster than conscious thought, but they could not move faster than the Force itself flowing through a receptive person. While Grievous's algorithms calculated paths and optimal strike sequences, Kenobi simply knew where each attack would land before it arrived. This was not a prediction based on analysis, but a direct perception of reality before it fully manifested in the physical world. Grievous could not sense what Obi-Wan could feel through the Force. Labyrinth of Evil establishes that the cyborg cannot detect Jedi presence through the Force. He relies on scanners and droid reports for awareness, needing visual confirmation and sensor data for information the Jedi Master perceives naturally. Count Dooku himself must inform Grievous when an incoming ship approaches his base, further revealing that the General has no intuitive awareness of threats. The Clone Wars episodes demonstrate this limitation repeatedly. In Destroy Malevolence, when droids report detecting an unauthorized communication, the General must order them to monitor all internal systems to locate Senator Amidala. Anakin and Obi-Wan avoid detection through Force-enhanced stealth, while the cyborg's awareness depends entirely on technological systems. In Grievous Intrigue, he tells his forces to be alert, because where there is Kenobi, they will find Skywalker. This is a logical deduction based on known patterns, not Force sense. When subordinates report that several crafts separated from his ship, the General must receive these reports. He has no independent awareness, creating a stark contrast with Jedi abilities. While Jedi sense presences and tensions and dangers through the Force, Grievous must rely on communication systems that can be disrupted or deceived. The seventh reason demonstrates why Grievous succeeded so often. The Jedi Order's transformation during the Clone Wars created exactly the kind of warriors the cyborg was designed to kill. Multiple canon sources document this decline. The Clone Wars episode Lair of Grievous contains Yoda's clear warning after Nadar Veb's death. To answer power with power is not the Jedi way. In this war, there is a danger of losing who we are. This warning came in response to Nadar's philosophy that in war, strength wins and rules have changed. Kit Fisto had warned that perhaps Nadar was the one who had changed. The young Jedi's death confirmed that the war was transforming how the Jedi approach conflict. The war was changing the Jedi into something they were never meant to be. The novel Star Wars Brotherhood describes lines blurring between the Jedi Order and the military. Mace Windu acknowledges that the scope of the Clone Wars goes beyond peacekeeping tradition, while Obi-Wan recognizes these blurring boundaries himself. In the Legends continuity, Labyrinth of Evil reveals the practical effects. When the Jedi gathered, they discussed military campaigns rather than the Force. New lightsabers were built to handle close combat demands rather than as meditative exercises. The construction process, once a deep spiritual undertaking requiring weeks of meditation, became streamlined to meet wartime needs. Training time shifted from Force study and philosophical development toward combat drills and tactical planning. The Clone Wars episodes The Citadel, Counterattack, and Citadel Rescue show Jedi functioning entirely in military roles. Mission briefings focus on tactics, intelligence, and strategic advantage, with no mention of Force guidance or meditation. Captain Tarkin challenges Jedi methods using military values, stating he reserves his trust for those who take action. Jedi are consistently referred to as General Kenobi and General Skywalker rather than by their traditional titles, reflecting deeper changes in how they understood their own role. The Jedi Order was abandoning its core principles to win a war. The Clone Wars episodes The Jedi Who Knew Too Much, To Catch a Jedi, and The Wrong Jedi show institutional decline reaching critical levels. When Admiral Tarkin demands that the Senate conduct Ahsoka Tano's trial, Mace Windu's response reveals how political concerns override Force guidance. He tells Obi-Wan that standing with Ahsoka could be seen as opposition to the Senate, prioritizing political appearance over defending their own member. Yoda recognizes they are heading down a dark path, yet the Council proceeds despite his Force-based warning. Even when the Order's wisest master sensed danger through the Force, political considerations took priority over spiritual wisdom. Barriss Offee's testimony exposes what the Order had become. She states that the Jedi are responsible for this war, having lost their way so completely that they have become villains in the conflict. Her attack on the Temple was an attack on what the Jedi have become, an army fighting for the dark side, fallen from the light they once held dear. Whether or not her judgment is entirely correct, it reflects a genuine crisis that even Jedi themselves recognized. Council meetings focused entirely on military and political strategy rather than meditation or contemplation. The vocabulary shifted from spiritual terms to military language. Decisions came from tactical analysis and political calculation rather than Force guidance. Young Jedi like Barriss were raised entirely in this wartime environment, never experiencing what the Order was supposed to be. By the war's final months, the Jedi Order had become something unrecognizable. Generals commanding clone armies, politicians navigating Senate politics, warriors focused on winning battles rather than serving the Force. This was exactly what Grievous had been designed to kill. Young Jedi raised during wartime believed strength won and rules had changed. They saw patience as weakness and restraint as failure. Grievous killed these Jedi with systematic efficiency because every aspect of his programming anticipated exactly how they would fight. Finally, the eighth reason clarifies Obi-Wan's unique position. He was an exception rather than the Order's standard. Both his assignments and his own assessment prove this difference. The Revenge of the Sith novelization establishes the power hierarchy clearly. Yoda fights Darth Sidious because the most powerful Jedi confronts the most powerful Sith. Mace Windu leads the arrest of Palpatine as the Council's champion. When the Council assigns someone to deal with Grievous, Mace specifically recommends sending only one Jedi, Master Kenobi. Anakin objects, pointing out that his former master was not so successful the last time he met the cyborg. This reveals that the Council is not sending their strongest warrior, but their most suitable one. Kenobi's own assessment confirms this. He tells Anakin directly that his former student has become a far greater Jedi than he could ever hope to be. When Yoda later states that Obi-Wan is not strong enough to fight Lord Sidious, it simply acknowledges reality. Obi-Wan's effectiveness came from specialization, not raw power. The Revenge of the Sith novelization explains what made Kenobi uniquely effective through Mace Windu's analysis. Mace observes that his mastery of Soresu, the most defensive lightsaber form, represented an answer to weakness. When Kenobi admits he has never thought of it that way, Mace explains that he is not simply a master of the defensive form. He is the master, singular and unique. Mace delivers critical advice, telling Kenobi to be who he is rather than trying to match the cyborg's strength, because the authenticity is what will ensure Grievous never defeats him. The novel describes Soresu as built on basic deflection principles that all Padawans learn to protect themselves from blaster bolts. Very simple, so restrained and defense-focused that it was nearly passive. Most Jedi learned it, but then moved on to more aggressive styles. Kenobi perfected this form to a degree no other Jedi reached. It was the only form in which he was truly skilled, yet his mastery of the basics was so complete that innovation became unnecessary. The final confrontation on Utapau proved everything about this matchup. The Revenge of the Sith novelization describes the duel in detail. When Grievous attacked at 20 strikes per second, the powered arms created speeds that should have been impossible to counter. Yet Kenobi's blade wove a complex web of angles and curves, never truly fast, but always just fast enough. Each motion subtly interfered with 3, 4, or 8 of the general's strikes. His precise, minimal shifts of weight and stance slipped strikes past by centimeters. This was not about being powerful enough to stop the cyborg, but skilled enough to never be where his strikes landed. The novel explains how this defense worked. That sparkling waterfall of the Force flowed through Obi-Wan, washing away any thought of danger or safety, of winning or losing. While Grievous calculated angles and timing through combat algorithms, Kenobi simply existed in harmony with each moment, responding to threats before they fully appeared in physical reality. Against most opponents, the cyborg's ability to accelerate created a decisive advantage. When he increased the intensity to 16 strikes per second, then 18, most Jedi defenses would begin to fail. The constant mental load of processing multiple attacks from different angles at different speeds became overwhelming. Kenobi's Soresu avoided this trap entirely. After Grievous increased to 20 strikes per second, the Jedi Master used his defense to attack. A subtle shift in the angle of a single block brought his blade into contact not with an oncoming lightsaber, but with the hand grip. The grip burst into sparks and melted material. The lightsaber fell from the cyborg's hand. This happened 4 times in succession, systematically removing the general's weapons without warning. When lightsaber combat failed, Obi-Wan adapted without hesitation. As Kenobi finally began to lose ground despite perfect Soresu defense, he lost his lightsaber during the struggle. He immediately seized a Magna Guard's electrostaff using the Force. This unorthodox adaptation, switching weapons mid-combat, gave him an advantage the general's programming had not anticipated. Grievous expected Jedi to maintain their traditional weapon throughout the duel, creating a momentary opening that allowed Obi-Wan to seize control. During physical combat, when both had lost their primary weapons, Kenobi ripped open the general's chest plates and exposed his organic heart. The cyborg's biological components were vulnerable in ways his mechanical parts were not. Finally, the Jedi Master used the Force to retrieve a blaster from a fallen droid and fired multiple shots into that weakness. The general's body erupted in flames as his systems failed completely. After killing Grievous in this way, Obi-Wan remarked that it was so uncivilized. This comment reveals everything about why he succeeded. He maintained Jedi values and genuinely preferred elegant solutions, yet had absolutely no ego about methods when survival demanded practical action. The cyborg's programming assumed Jedi would maintain traditional combat approaches because of pride or tradition. Kenobi cared nothing for those assumptions.